I'm Teacher Mike, and today we're learning some different ways to answer the question, how old are you? As well as some other English words and phrases that you can use when talking about how old someone is. But first things first, is it okay to ask someone how old they are? So there's nothing really rude about the question, how old are you? The problem is just that some people in some countries don't like telling other people how old they are, so this question can sometimes make people uncomfortable. So if you're talking to someone who you don't know very well, or someone who is obviously a lot older than you, it's usually better to 1. Not ask how old they are, or 2. Ask in a way that is a bit less direct. For example, do you mind if I ask how old you are? But remember, in most English-speaking countries, this isn't a normal conversation question like, what's your name, or where are you from? So unless you have a specific reason for wanting to know how old they are, it's usually better to just not ask. However, when talking to someone who you have a close relationship with, especially if they're obviously about the same age as you, asking about their age is usually fine. Now, if someone asks you how old you are, here are some ways that you can answer. First, just tell them exactly how old you are. For example, I'm 34, or I'm 34 years old. But remember, you can't say I'm 34 years. If you have the word years, you also need the word old. If for some reason I don't want to give someone my exact age, I could also say I'm in my 30s. I'm in my 30s means that I'm somewhere between 30 and 39. Or if someone is between the ages of 20 and 29, we can say that they are in their 20s. But remember, you can't say things like, I'm in my 22s, or I'm in my 36s. This is because when we use in my, we always use a period, not an exact age. You can also add the words early, mid, and late. For example, I'm in my early 50s. That would mean that I am between the ages of 50 and 53. I'm in my mid-50s would mean that I'm between the ages of 54 and 56. And I'm in my late 50s would mean that I am between the ages of 57 and 59. However, when someone asks me how old I am, I usually just tell them exactly how old I am. I usually only use 20s and 30s when talking about periods of my life, not how old I am right now. For example, I lived in Thailand for most of my 20s. These are also really useful for describing other people when you don't know exactly how old they are. For example, my neighbor looks like he's in his 50s. Also, if someone is between the ages of 13 and 19, we can say that they are a teenager, or we can say that they are in their teens. And if someone is younger than that, we usually say that they are a kid or a child. These two words mean the same thing. Child is just the more formal word, and kid is the more informal word. If someone is approximately 40 to 60, we can say that they are middle-aged. When talking about people getting older, we also sometimes use the word pushing. For example, he's pushing 50. That's basically an informal way of saying he's almost 50. However, this is another one where we usually only use periods of 10 years. For example, pushing 30, pushing 40, or pushing 50. We wouldn't usually say things like pushing 25 or pushing 67. We also have the expression young at heart, which means that although someone is older, they still have the spirit or the energy of a much younger person. For example, although he's 80, he's still young at heart. And an old soul is a younger person who has the wisdom or maturity of a much older person. For example, Joshua is an old soul. Although he's only 17, the things that he talks about and the way that he talks about them make it seem like he should be in his 40s. Also, I forgot to say this in the beginning, but if you don't want to tell someone how old you are, you can say, "I'd rather not say," or "I'm not comfortable sharing my age." And finally, we have the words elder, elderly, and senior citizen. However, I already have a video about those words, so if you have just 4 more minutes, I highly recommend watching this video right here.